Imagine this, a church born not in the ancient world of Byzantium or Constantinople, not in Moscow or Kiev, but on the wild frontiers of Alaska, a land of icy seas, native tribes, and explorers. And from those remote beginnings, it grew into one of the most remarkable stories in modern Christian history, the birth of a truly American Orthodox Church. Today, I'm exploring the history of the Orthodox Church in America, or the OCA, its origins, struggles, independence, and ongoing mission to bring ancient faith to the modern world. The story begins in the late 18th century. In 1794, a small group of 8 Orthodox monks set sail from Valamo Monastery in northern Russia. Their mission was to bring the light of Christ to the far reaches of the Russian Empire, to the Aleuts and Alaskan peoples of the North Pacific. They landed on the island of Kodiak, and from there began their missionary work. It was no easy task. The land was harsh, the climate unforgiving, and the cultures unfamiliar. But what's remarkable is how these early missionaries approached the people they met. Instead of forcing language or custom, they learned the native tongues, translated the Gospels, and taught through love and example. Among them was a young priest named John Venemenova, who would later become Saint Innocent of Alaska. He was not only a missionary, he was a teacher, a linguist, and an inventor. He created an Aleut alphabet, transcribed the scriptures into local languages, and trained native clergy. His mission style was distinctly Orthodox, incarnational, respectful, and deeply personal. Through him and others, Christianity took root in Alaska not as an imported culture, but as a faith that could grow in any soil. By 1840, St. Innocent was consecrated as Bishop of Kamchatka, the Kuriles, and Alaska. The seat of the Russian mission moved to Sitka, and Alaska became a center of Orthodox life in the New World. Even after 1867, when the United States purchased Alaska from Russia, the Orthodox presence continued to flourish. Churches, schools, and seminaries were built. The faith of those early Alaskan converts remains strong to this day. While Orthodoxy began in Alaska, it didn't stay there. In the 19th century, waves of Orthodox immigrants began arriving in the continental United States. Greeks, Russians, Ukrainians, Carpatho-Russians, Syrians, and Serbs. Wherever they settled, they brought their faith. Communities pooled resources to build small wooden churches, often topped with a single onion dome. These parishes became not only places of worship, but cultural centers, keeping alive the faith and tradition of the Old World in a new land. One of the earliest Orthodox parishes outside Alaska was established in San Francisco in 1868, serving both Russians and Slavs. From there, the church expanded across the country to New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Minneapolis, Chicago, and New York. But the remarkable thing about these parishes was that many were multi-ethnic. Russians worshipped alongside Greeks, Arab Christians stood beside Carpatho-Russians. Orthodoxy in America was already becoming something unique, a family of many nations under one faith. Still, there were challenges. Each ethnic group looked to its own mother church back in the Old World for leadership. There wasn't yet a single unified Orthodox Church in America. That would come later, and only after immense struggle. Then came 1917, the year that changed everything. The Russian Revolution toppled the Tsar, and with him, much of the structure that had supported Orthodox life abroad. The new Bolshevik regime persecuted the church, imprisoned bishops, and cut off communication between Moscow and its overseas missions. The Orthodox in America suddenly found themselves isolated, without guidance, funds, or clear leadership from the Russian Patriarchate. In that moment, Patriarch Tikhon, himself once a missionary bishop in Alaska, made a fateful decision. He instructed the American diocese to govern itself temporarily until contact with Moscow could be restored. And so, in 1924, the North American diocese reorganized into what was called the Russian Orthodox Greek Catholic Church of North America, but most people simply called it the Metropolia. This was a time of both struggle and renewal. The Metropolia was small and poor. Many parishes broke away to align with their own ethnic patriarchs, Greek, Serbian, Antiochian. But those who stayed held onto a dream that Orthodoxy could one day grow into an American church, not foreign, not divided, but totally local. The Metropolio began using English in worship more frequently, encouraged American vocations, and nurtured a vision of Orthodoxy could belong to the New World just as naturally as it had to the Old. By the mid-20th century, the Metropolia had matured. It had built seminaries like St. Tikhon's in Pennsylvania and St. Vladimir's in New York. It had trained theologians who could express Orthodox theology in an American context. After World War II, a new generation of clergy and lay leaders began to see the need for a clear identity, not as a Russian outpost, but as a fully American church. Talks with the Moscow Patriarchate resumed in the 1960s. The Cold War made these discussions politically delicate, but both sides shared a goal to normalize relations and recognize the autonomy that already existed in practice. Finally, in 1970, the Patriarch of Moscow granted autocephaly, full self-governing status, to the Metropolia, which was now officially renamed the Orthodox Church in America, or OCA. This was a historic moment. For the first time, a canonical Orthodox Church had been established on North American soil, not a mission, not a dependency, but an autocephalous church in its own right. Not everyone agreed, of course. Some other Orthodox churches, especially the Ecumenical Patriarchate in Constantinople, did not recognize the OCA's independence. To this day, recognition of the OCA autocephaly remains a subject of inter-Orthodox debate. But the OCA pressed forward, focusing less on politics and more on mission. It saw itself as the beginning of a new local expression of Orthodoxy, one that could unite people of all backgrounds in the ancient faith. Today, the Orthodox Church in America is organized under a Holy Synod of bishops led by a metropolitan who serves as primate. Beneath the synod are dioceses spread across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, each headed by its own bishop. The OCA's general gathering body is the All-American Council, which includes bishops, priests, and lay delegates. This council meets periodically to discuss theology, administration, and mission. It's a uniquely American form of church governance, conciliar, democratic, and participatory, while remaining faithful to the traditional Orthodox episcopal structure. Education has always been at the heart of the OCA's mission. It operates several seminaries: St. Vladimir's Seminary in New York, a major center for Orthodox theology in the English-speaking world; St. Tikhon Seminary and Monastery in Pennsylvania, the spiritual heart of the OCA; and Saint Herman Seminary in Alaska, continuing the legacy of the original missionaries. Monasticism, too, thrives across North America. Monasteries in Alaska, Pennsylvania, New York, and California serve as spiritual centers for prayer and renewal. The OCA's liturgy is almost entirely in English, though many parishes include hymns or prayers in Slavonic, Greek, or other languages. a nod to the church's diverse roots. And although it's relatively small with around 700 parishes and missions, the OCA has become a model for how Orthodoxy can adapt and flourish in a pluralistic society without losing its ancient soul. One of the most beautiful aspects of the OCA is its recognition of North American saints, a true sign of an indigenous Orthodox identity taking root. I'll leave a card above and a link below of the playlist that I'm doing of the North American saints if you're interested in checking out. There is Saint Herman of Alaska, the humble monk who defended the Aleuts and preached peace. Saint Innocent, the great missionary bishop. Saint Tikhon, the patriarch who guided the church through revolution and exile. Saint Raphael of Brooklyn, who ministered to Arab Orthodox immigrants across America. Saint Alexis Toth, a former Greek Catholic priest who helped thousands return to Orthodoxy. These saints show that holiness is not confined to any one nation or culture. The same grace that sanctified the deserts of Egypt and the forests of Russia now sanctifies the shores of Alaska and the cities of North America. But the OCA's journey hasn't been without challenges. Its autocephaly, while recognized by Russia and several other Orthodox churches, remains unacknowledged by Constantinople and others. This creates a complex dynamic within the broader Orthodox world. There are also internal questions of identity. Should the OCA emphasize its Russian heritage or focus on being fully American? Should it remain distinct or work toward uniting all Orthodox Christians in North America under one common church? Like all churches in the modern age, the OCA faces new realities: secularization, declining religious participation, and the need to reach younger generations who are searching for meaning beyond materialism. Yet through all this, the OCA continues to grow quietly and steadily, welcoming converts, planting missions, and engaging culture through education, media, and social witness. Its vision remains clear: to live the fullness of Orthodox Christianity in the language, culture, and life of the American people. The story of the Orthodox Church in America is not just about history or institutions, it's about incarnation. It's a story of an ancient faith taking flesh in a new world. From the wooden chapels of Kodiak Island to the urban cathedrals of New York and Chicago, the OCA represents Orthodoxy's living mission, that the Church of Christ can take root in every culture and still remain the same church founded by the apostles. Its saints, its struggles, and its faith all testify to this truth: that holiness is not bound by geography, and that the light of Christ shines even at the ends of the earth. So next time you see an Orthodox church in America, whether it's Alaska, California, or Ohio, remember that behind those walls lies more than 2 centuries of prayer, sacrifice, and the quiet miracle of faith, becoming native to a new land. Well, hope you enjoyed that video, learning about the OCA, and if so, do me a favor, that little subscribe button right down there, please hit that, maybe give it a thumbs up, and who knows, maybe even share this with your OCA friends and see what they think. I'd greatly appreciate it. And as usual, thank you for watching, and have yourself a blessed day.